Hey guys, so this is the clan war between Illyria and Epic Clan. We're looking at two of the top teams at the moment, so we have a look at the coalition table. This is 2 days before the end of the season. As you can see, Illyria are currently top with a 1170.9 ELO, and Epic Clan are in second place with 1141.6. They'll get about 20, if Epic Clan win, they'll get about 20 ELO for this, so it will really be a 1 or 2 game season to see who's on the top there. So let's go back to the game. I think they're just in the preparation stage. Acquius has asked for a bit of a shout out to all you newbies out there, and just to say who he is. So the players are relatively high tier. Lauk is a very good player, the current winner of the 6th, I believe, 1v1 tournament. And Acquius, a good friend of mine, has been a moderator for quite some time on Atwar, playing United Kingdom as Acquius and Turkey respectively. And on the Epic Clan teams, you've got Ghostface and Hurak. Hurak, both competent and good players. Now, looking at the positions, you've got the two teams over here, UK and Turkey. These are the two highest spawns on the UK map. On the Euro Plus map. So as you can see, it will give you a real advantage in terms of spawn numbers. However, there is a key central region for money, as I always talk about money. This sort of northern region, which is really a lockdown between Germany and Ukraine being allies. They've also got the added bonus of being protected from each other, so they can give that protection and give that bit of cohesion to go in here. So a number of options. Turkey's got 2 or 3 options in terms of expansion. It's pretty typical for the first turn. First turn is all about expansion and trying to predict what your opponent is doing. So if you've got some prior knowledge from your opponent, then you're able to predict with relatively ease what they're good. Turkey, usual tactics will probably be the Balkans, maybe a bit of Rome, or Russia South over here. Ukraine is still expanding here. Now, unlike in 1v1s, when you have a German ally, you decide amongst yourselves who's going to take Sweden and who's going to take this sort of area here. I prefer it if Germany goes up here, because then they're protecting that sort of region which will be taken by the Ukraine up here in the north east of Europe here. Whilst they can focus on coming down into the Balkans and really harassing that Turkey. This should be a very good battle. They're both very good East players, quite competent over here. We're going to take a look at the Western situation. Acquius has got a bit of advantage because he's kind of pressed in. Germany has a few options. He can obviously come into this area in Central Europe to get his unit count, or he can go into Poland at the expense of his ally having 5 or 6 units to press onto here. I think he'll go up here, so I think that this turn will end up with the Denmark and Sweden being taken by Germany, as well as perhaps Austria and a few of these countries around here. Acquius will do 1 or 2 things. He will either wall up Paris and try and secure this area from Norway, if you like, this line here from Norway to Belgium, or he will take Paris, Spain, Belgium and Netherlands as a minimum, with the minimum amount of units, or he may even try and get a few units pictured around here. It's quite a close battle. I don't necessarily like playing as Germany in a 2v2 clan war. I think it limits you in the ways that you can go and really gives a lot of expansion options for Acquius in this situation to come and gather some troops over here, as long as he can protect a line, perhaps even a seawall across here. He should be relatively okay and be able to fund Lauk to leverage those troops that he has from a Turkish side. His biggest problem, as I said earlier, is that he is going to run out of money if he doesn't get funded or doesn't get himself to some rich areas, which is the biggest problem for Illyria in this clan war, is that money supply, whereas the biggest problem really for the German and Ukrainian allies is keeping hold of their money in the north and getting enough troops to combat that eventual push from Turkey there. So we'll pick this up on turn 2. You'll see how it goes. So here we are again on turn 2. As I said, I thought would happen is that Lauk was immediately gone and tried to get the gold. He was obviously thinking there was going to be a Greece rush down here, overstacking really into Athens, which may have limited his expansion options. But there. So for those of you who don't know, as I said on a previous video, these are called palace walls, and what they do is give you an opportunity to really protect your capital until around turn 4. Because after this turn, these units can move away, and you can make a 3-man wall inside there. There's no way really that this can be broken. Now there is, with smart placement of troops, an opportunity, a very limited opportunity, to make sure that wall's broken. But that's a risky strategy and maybe losing a troop. As usual, with a Ukraine player, they have gone to take Russia Central and Russia Northwest. You'll see on a lot of my videos I comment on this as being the key cash course for Ukraine in the early turns. It's really about taking these and then repositioning your troops over to here. So let's take a look on the west. As I said earlier, Acquiesce has gone and taken this sort of cash-rich region. This is so that he can supply cash to his ally, so that he can leverage this expansion and the troops that he's going to gain from the Balkans to be able to push either into Germany or ideally into Ukraine over here. Germany's gone for a very limited expansion. He's obviously tried to kill a general or something by overstacking Denmark up here. He would have been better off, in my opinion, not worrying so much about killing a general and trying to gather as many troops as he can, because the problem he has now is that Acquiesce again can send a lot of troops up into Norway or even up into Stockholm here and try and control that region. Or alternatively, he can come in here and really you've got a limited one stack going down this way. I don't think he'll do that. I think that knowing Acquiesce quite well, I think that he will try and get some more areas in France, perhaps even come down and get Bilbao and Spain and Barcelona, so that he can then protect any sort of rush on here. The smart move would be to go up here and break some troops, though, because he does need the cash for his ally. It's quite balanced at the moment. Let's have a look at the unit counts after turn 1. And this is Lauka's got 83 troops versus his opponent with 54. Ghostface with the 49 and 56. Now this is deceiving because obviously they've stacked. Once Ukraine expands and tries to take on this turn as much troops as he possibly can, he will probably have less of a disadvantage in terms of troop numbers. Now turn 2 is all about reading the game and reacting to what you think your opponent's plan is. So in this instance, if you can see that there are advantages to be gained in the fact that some of these regions here aren't shored up, there may be contentions over it, so he may actually, come to get these regions. Acquiesce will see here about that troops and try and think, well, you know what, he may be coming into my Benelux area, either protect or push on his own defense. As I said, turn 2, all about reading the game and understanding your opponent's strategy. Always have a look at the battle screen for you new guys. Especially, always have a look at the battle screen to see what roles are happening, see what unit demographics your opponent is using, because then you can work out his strategy and react accordingly. We're going to pick this up on turn 3, and we'll talk about turn 3 as it comes. Okay, beginning of turn 3, you can see a much bigger picture now of the way that people have expanded. We'll just start with the unit counts on this turn. So you see Illyria is on 109, whereas Hurak is on 97. As I said, that gap has got smaller from the way that Hurak has been able to leverage his position to expand and make sure that he's got that troop number. He's still well protected. Kiev is walled. I'll just zoom in for you so you can see. Kiev is still walled, whereas Lauka is not. So Lauka really has to think, given how strong a position Kiev is in for this turn, if he needs to defend. Now there's quite limited options. It's deceiving how many units can be brought forward by top tier players of this nature, because they can really get that unit press to come in. If we look on the other side on the unit numbers, we've got a different picture. Again, Acquiesce, as I said, has probably had a pretty bad turn, if I'm honest, here, apart from this defensive wall, which is really going to serve him well. He hasn't really expanded. Whether he's keeping units here, as you can see, he's probably worried about his cities getting taken in the UK, which would have eliminated his country bonus, which is quite a substantial amount of money for the UK, to really go down and take as much as he could over here. Lauka's done well. He's in helping in the west. He's now taken a full Italy, so he may not be as reliant on the cash coming forward from Acquiesce over here. Acquiesce has 65 troops and Germany 48. That may actually be wrong. Let me just refresh that and check. So no, it's still 48 and 68, but he's gone up here and got this cash and pretty much got now on lock the northern region. Germany doesn't really have a lot of options. He's getting pressed a few times, so I do expect that Ukraine, especially being walled up, will try and limit what Lauka is doing this way in terms of moving forward. Looking at the positions, always make sure that your opponent's cap wall is down, because it really gives them questions, and some of these key cities as well. I'm surprised to see that these are not down, because it really gives the advantage to the player that has the walls up, because they can just move these troops out knowing that full well they can get back and take their positions. Laocoon has a decision, as I said earlier, on this side, but he's quite capable of getting these troops back here via his general, and then up into the regions if need be, or even to defend his cities in Turkey, which is always a key option in this. Now 2v2s are funny, they go quite quickly, but the general theory on turn 3 is consolidation and takes. So as I said, you're going to want to protect, especially on these cities here for Laocoon here, his cities, so that he's in a position to attack on the next turn, which is obviously the turn before reinforcements, so the turn when you want to be holding as much as you can. The same for Lauk. He's going to, Aqueous over here is going to want to keep his Benelux regions. There are ways in, despite this wall, not so much to London, but the wall can come around this way from Gothenburg with a transport, or even from Oslo with a transport down here. I think that Aqueous will probably recognise that and try and protect his Benelux region. I even think that Germany may take a risk on this turn and leave this as a 0 or a very lightly defended area so that he can keep his outer cities. What one of the best moves would be to do is to take Hamburg right now, as that is a key source and a route into the UK. We'll see that. It's the same with Bilbao for Spain. Really is a really big channel for coming up here and attacking the UK. So always remember for your newbies, Hamburg, Bilbao, important ports. We're just going to jump into turn 4. See what happens on this turn. Okay, so different terms. So as I said, from turn 3 it's consolidation and takes. So Aqueous has consolidated his position over here, made sure that he is protecting his cities inadvertently. You don't necessarily need to protect your cities if you have a wall like this, which is called a seawall, or even smart walls across here, or shoring up and walling the enemy's cities. That said, the north here for Germany is very well protected, so that's a source of income for at least 2 turns, and it may come into play later. Aqueous has of course taken Leipzig, which gets rid of the country bonus for Germany, whilst generally he's gone to take a few more things, make the picture look a little bit more bleak for them. But generally that turn for UK was consolidating his position. The same for our German colleague over here, who has looked at protecting his cities and taking things. Probably gone for a little bit of an attack over here as well. Let's have a look at the east. Lauk is looking very strong. He's been allowed to wall his capital, has he? Oh no, it's open, so he hasn't been allowed to wall it. But if that had worked, that would have been a very, very strong position. Obviously, he's taken all of these minor cities that can sometimes get overlooked. But the beauty of the minor cities in the Balkans, even Cluj and some of these smaller cities, is that if you do need to build that random AT, it's better to build them from these smaller places, because your opponent is less likely to turn block them and then to be able to move your units out. Now, it doesn't work like that in full. Obviously, there's different priorities for where you may get turn blocked, but that's a very strong sort of position for moving forward. As for Ukraine, he looks strong. However, he's going to have to be able to defend a lot of his areas. So Poland could very much fall from the units coming up here, and some of these cities could fall. If he loses Odessa, depending on his strategy, he's really lost his only outlet to come very quickly and cheaply, more importantly, into the Turkish area. So I think that Laocoon will probably try and take Odessa this turn to prevent that happening. He is got the wall up there, so he's okay with his general, so it is an option to defend this. He's got his full city bonuses, as I said previously. He's pushing now over here to get some more cities and come down through a different route. As you can see, I'm not really an east player, but I understand that giving yourself enough options to create attack is always the best option. A similar way, as I said on the previous turn, about Hamburg and Bilbao being the only real options for Spain and Berlin to come out and attack the UK, unless you're going to play some tricky moves like going up into Norway and across to Bergen and then down this way. But that's rarely seen. A lot of these areas here are always contested, so the real outlet for Germany is in Hamburg. I think Illyria will win this battle. I think Laocoon has secured enough money to keep himself going in Italy over here, and Aqueous, obviously, if he needs to, will be funding enough to leverage these troops down. these troop counts. Turn 4, as I said at the beginning, is all about rushing or protecting your position and or holding what you have in the expectation for your reinforcements on turn 5. If you do have enough reinforcements on turn 5, you'll be in an exceptionally strong position.